We're going to get started here real quick. I hope everybody had a great first part of the practice. Did y'all have a good time? Yeah! Great. One of the things I'm going to talk to you about just real quickly is how many times as you watch TV and watching different sports events do you hear the coach say something about getting your game face on? Anybody know what that means? What about that?
Like to get excited.
That's right. You get excited. You want to get prepared. It gets you focused for what you've got going on. When athletes put their game faces on, they're ready for competition. They are ready to go as hard as they can, as long as they can. And they're ready for anything that jumps up in front of them because they're prepared. And as athletes and coaches and anytime you go through life, at one time or another, you have to put your game face on and be ready to go. But what about us as Christians? Have you ever thought about putting a spiritual game face? Or what the spiritual game face is? Well, the same thing holds true for that as we talk about with sports. It's putting our game face on. As athletes, we spend hours and hours developing our game, but at the same time, we got to be true. And that's the same thing with our game faces for Jesus. Is we got to be true. We have to work at it. What we know that a football player is he's a football player because of his actions. The same is true for soccer players, basketball players, accountants if you're working like me. The same is supposed to be true for Christians. Did you know, and I didn't know this until I actually read this, believe it or not. I said, did you know that the members of the early church didn't call themselves Christians? But that was a name given to them by people who observed them as they followed Jesus. Truly, they had the game faces of Christ. We take on the Jesus game face the same way we do with the sports game face. We practice and we listen to the head coach. Who's our head coach in our game face with Christ? That's exactly right. And how do we hear Him? We hear Him through prayer. We pray at times of both goodness and hardship. And we hold a conversation with Him, and He gives us the game plan. So today and going forward, focus on Jesus Christ and get your spiritual game face on. Because we are in a great game called life, and your head coach has the winning game plan. So as we go forward the rest of the day, just kind of think about that. And I'm going to now turn it back over to Coach Jimmy, and he's going to tell you where our next section is. Thank y'all for your attendance.